Hello and welcome to DY's first impressions and banner review video for March Legfest Part 2. Anniversary has unfortunately come to a close, but I hope that all of you had an amazing roulette period. Before I get into the characters and the banners themselves, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping really quickly. So first up, the anniversary ticket. If you have not yet bought this and you plan to, you have only a couple hours from now. You can only buy it until 6:59 p.m. April 1st in Japan Standard Time, so please convert that to your own local time. If you have bought the ticket, you have an extra 24 hours to actually choose your target. If you're not sure who to choose and you want to buy the ticket, I have made a video on that, link in the top right. Next up, I don't have the banner for this anymore because I've actually chosen my stuff, but there will be a banner around here which lets you choose your free weapon tickets, your free Revan's weapon, and your 6 dragons. I've also made a video on that. That one doesn't expire until April 10th, I believe, but make sure, I'm not sure if I'll have a video out before then, so make sure you choose those as well. Link to my video recommendations in the top right again. All right, I think that's about all the housekeeping. So let's get straight into the banner itself. So this banner brings us Fille, Yukata Dark version, and Elmott Fire Yukata as well. So let's have a look at their kits. So immediately on the surface, Fille is a defensive support character for Dark. She provides, most notably, this skill here, Jeweled Protection, which boosts your charge bar gain, converts all the elemental damage that you take into light damage. The light damage that you take is lowered, and then you recover HP each turn. This sort of skill is extremely powerful in those end game raids where the element that you receive is, for the most part, random. So I'm talking raids like Hexachromatic Hierarch and Dark Rapture 0. Outside of that place, or outside of those raids rather, these sort of skills are decent, but for the most part, not necessary, just because the pure defensive value they provide is a little bit wasted. You don't need that much, essentially. She does a lot of skill damage on this particular skill, which also happens to extend your buff durations by 1 turn. So immediately that synergizes with the skill, making this a 6-turn duration. But it might also be used for some other dark character buffs on your team. Currently, there's not too many notable ones that you would run in a team alongside Fille, but it has future potential, and it also synergizes perhaps with a lot of MC skills too. So there's that to note. Her second skill is nice. It's a clear, it boosts charge bar, and it also heals. Unfortunately, there is no way to proc this in full auto. So Fille, although she's pretty powerful defensively, I think she will provide a bit more utility in manual raids or manual setups rather than full auto setups. And then she rounds off her kit over here with some extra stats based on her unique jewels, the 7 gems levels. And then this particular passive here lowers the cooldown for her third skill, which has admittedly a pretty long cooldown every time their diamonds are full. So in reality, this cooldown is probably, in my rough napkin math, probably going to be about 8-9 turns, depending on how many charge diamonds the enemy has. Most endgame raids have 2 diamonds, so that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Alright, so in conclusion, Fille looks to be a defensive support mainly for those endgame manual setups. She will definitely not see a use in burst rotations, and she is unlikely to see use in full auto as well. I think Dark has better characters for that. Alright, let's move on to the next character of the banner. We have Elmott, who refuses to leave the fire element. I think this is the 3rd or 4th Elmott we have in fire, and it's funny. Anyways, Elmott this time, once again, a very sort of skill damage and burn singed, has that sort of flavor to his kit. So Elmott this time is a heavily skill damage based support and damage dealer that supports the singed playstyle and the Hellfire Crest playstyle. There's a couple characters in Fire who really benefit from these mechanics. Some off the top of my head are like Percy, Hecate, maybe even someone like Anna. And a lot of those characters really benefit from having other characters that provide these effects as well. So let's have a quick look at his kit. Auspicious Blaze does pretty much a big fire nuke, a multi-hit nuke to the enemy. It also activates each time the foe does a special attack. Unfortunately, this skill doesn't really have anything else other than damage. It would have been nice if it had like at least a dispel or something else on it. At the moment, it's pretty much pure damage. Next, this is where his Singed application comes in. This has a very nice multi-attack debuff on it, and it activates twice if Singed level is 5 or above. So it could be nice for some debuff stacking. I think he's like moving on a bit ahead. I think it's unlikely that you'll see him in endgame raids, but I suppose if you like maybe for some lower V2 raids, maybe some debuff omens, it could help. Although there aren't really any at the moment, but maybe in the future. And then finally, his third skill can only be used when you have 5 Hellfire Crests. And it pretty much gives this particular buff to everybody in the team. In particular, it's 50% triple attack, it's a 100% chance to deal 20% extra damage, so it's a critical strike modifier on that second buff. And then the third buff is basically a fire nuke every time somebody normal attacks. And then rounding off his kit, we have this final one, which is when normal attacking a foe whose Singed level is 7 or above, he will deal an extra 3-hit fire damage nuke. At the moment, Elmott looks to be a skill damage support, mainly for full auto setups. I think it's unlikely, extremely unlikely, he'll be used for any sort of burst, and HL raids as well. He doesn't provide enough utility for those situations. So pretty much full auto character at the moment in my mind. Okay, and then let's finally take a look at the banner rate ups as well, which is over here. So we also have on this banner Cagliostro Grand and Luo Grand rate up. So first up, both characters are unlikely to see too much relevant use in Guild War. Cag these days is pretty much only really used for some full autos, most of the time if you're lacking other characters, and Luo is mostly used for very specific teams in the endgame raids. He rarely sees use in full auto, at least in my opinion. And then their weapons, Ouroboros Prime, it's pretty much only a one-off for in the past for main hand purposes only. These days I'm not sure I would even recommend barring it with all the other options you have. Luo's weapon, on the other hand, Imperious Fury, is quite good and a very important grid piece for light. Take a look at the advanced grids page for Zeus on the wiki if you want more information on that. So, should you spark this banner? In my opinion, unless the characters on Raid Up are some of your favorite characters, it is mostly a skip. Both Elmott and Delafie don't look to be that important outside of very hardcore invested elemental mains, and if last year is anything to go by, these characters will return on a specific banner in August. That's not a guarantee, but that is what happened last year, so keep that in mind. The light raid ups, Cagliostro and Luo, if you're sparking, you're really only doing it because you want to go Zeus, in particular before Guild War, which starts later this week. If that's something you want to do, go ahead, but for the most part, I would recommend skipping this banner. I don't think there's anything too notable here, and with many more potential grands coming up in the April period and summer later on down the line, I think it might be better off to save those crystals that you have. Alright, and that will do me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I will catch you guys next time. Goodbye. Bye-bye.